Top 10 Biggest Mysteries of Mars. Number 1. Why does Mars have two faces? Researchers have been considering the contrasts between the different sides of Mars for quite a long time. The northern side of the equator of the planet is smooth and low. It is among the flattest, smoothest places in the nearby planetary group, possibly made by water that once streamed across the Martian surface. A great telescope from Mars, the Celestron Next Star 130 SLT. Then, the southern portion of the Martian surface is unpleasant and intensely cratered, and about 2.5 miles to 5 miles, 4 kilometers to 8 kilometers, higher in height than the northern pole. Ongoing proof proposes the tremendous dissimilarity seen between the northern and southern parts of the planet was brought about by a Goliath space rock colliding with Mars sometime in the past. Number 2. A Mars methane mystery. Methane, the least complex natural atom, was first found in the Martian climate by the European Space Agency's Mars Express shuttle in 2003. On Earth, a significant part of the air methane is delivered by life, for example, steers processing food. Methane is suspected to be steady in the Martian environment for just around 300 years, so whatever is producing this gas did so as of late. All things considered, there are approaches to create methane without life, like volcanic action. ESA's ExoMars shuttle gotten ready for dispatch in 2016 will examine the substance structure of Mars air to get familiar with this methane. Number 3. Does water flow? Albeit a lot of proof propose that fluid water once ran on the outside of Mars, it stays an open inquiry concerning whether it periodically streams on the essence of the red planet now. The planet's barometrical pressing factor is excessively low, at around 1/100th of Earth's, for fluid water to keep going on a superficial level. Notwithstanding, dim, slender lines seen on Martian inclines hint that salt water could be running down them each spring. Number 4. Did Mars have oceans? Various missions to Mars have uncovered a large group of highlights on the red planet that recommend it was once warm enough for fluid water to stumble into its surface. These highlights incorporate what give off an impression of being immense seas, valley organizations, waterway deltas and minerals that necessary water to frame. Be that as it may, current models of early Mars environment can't clarify how such warm temperatures might have existed, as the sun was a lot more fragile in those days, driving some to find out if these highlights may have been made by winds or different instruments. In any case, there is proof proposing that antiquated Mars was sufficiently warm to help fluid water in at any rate one site on its surface. Different discoveries hint that old Mars was once cold and wet, not cold and dry nor warm and wet, as is frequently contended.
Number 5. Is there life on Mars? The primary rocket to effectively arrive on Mars, NASA's Viking 1, started a secret that remains tantalizingly strange. Is there proof of life on Mars? Viking addressed the first, thus far just endeavor to look for life on Mars, and its discoveries are fervently discussed today. Viking had distinguished natural atoms like methyl chloride and dichloromethane. Be that as it may, these mixtures were excused as earthbound defilement, to be specific, cleaning liquids used to set up the rocket when it was still on Earth. The outside of Mars is exceptionally threatening to life as far as we might be concerned, regarding cold, radiation, hyperaridity and different components. All things considered, there are various instances of life making do in outrageous conditions on Earth, for example, the cool, dry soils of the Antarctic dry valleys and the hyper-parched Atacama Desert in Chile. There is life practically any place there is fluid water on Earth, and the likelihood that there were once seas on Mars drives numerous to contemplate whether life at any point advanced on Mars and, assuming this is the case, regardless of whether it very well may be surviving. Addressing these inquiries may help shed light on how basic life could conceivably be in the remainder of the universe.
Number 6. Is Earth's life from Mars? Shooting stars found in Antarctica that came from Mars, launched the red planet by grandiose effects, have structures that look like ones made by organisms on Earth. Albeit much examination from that point forward proposes compound as opposed to organic clarifications for these designs. The discussion proceeds. These discoveries do raise the tempting chance that life on Earth really started on Mars quite a while in the past, conveyed here on Shooting Stars. Number 7. Can humans live on Mars? To answer whether life did or exists on Mars, individuals may really need to go there and discover. NASA's arrangement starting at 1969 was to have a human Mars mission by 1981 and a lasting Mars base in 1988. In any case, interplanetary human journeys present unequivocal logical and mechanical difficulties. One would need to manage the afflictions of movement, issues of food, water and oxygen, the pernicious impacts of microgravity, potential perils, for example, fire and radiation, and the way that any such space travelers would be a large number of miles from help and limited together for quite a long time at a time. Landing, working, living on another planet and getting back from it would offer a large group of difficulties too. All things considered, space travelers appear to be anxious to discover. For instance, this year 6 volunteers lived in an imagined space apparatus for almost 18 months in the supposed Mars 500 project, the longest spaceflight recreation at any point pointed toward imitating a monitored mission to Mars from start to finish. There are even various volunteers for a single direction outing to the Red Planet. Minuscule stone-eating microorganisms could mine valuable extraterrestrial assets from Mars and prepare for the primary human pilgrims, and ranchers could develop crops on its surface. The secret concerning whether people will at any point go to Mars may lay to a great extent on whether the people pulling the strings can be persuaded to go there. Number 8. Why is the northern hemisphere smooth and the southern hemisphere heavily cratered? During the 1970s, NASA's Viking missions made the main complete overview of the geology of Mars. From that point forward, researchers have been pondering why the planet has two faces. The northern side of the equator is a lot complement and lies lower than the intensely cratered high countries of the southern half of the globe, with a distinction in height of somewhere in the range of 3 and 5 miles. Hypotheses have proposed that interior land measure, similar to warm convection in the mantle, might have shaped Mars' present-day highlights. It's additionally conceivable that the planet's northern half was worn out over the long run on account of a tremendous sea filling this worldwide bowl. Number 9. Warm and wet to cold and dry. The following greatest secret concerning Mars is the thing that occurred. As Squires put it, Mars was a warm, wet intriguing spot for only 500 million to 1 billion years, Squires said, and afterward the fun was finished. Future Mars investigation missions will convey more touchy gear to help answer the interrelated inquiries concerning life and the unmistakable change in conditions on the Red Planet. NASA's Mars Science Laboratory and its vehicle estimated, 6-wheeled Meanderer Curiosity will land the following summer and start dissecting rocks and sending pictures back to Earth for study. Likewise, the European Space Agency has its first Meanderer, ExoMars, preparing for a 2018 dispatch. An example return mission of Martian soil and shakes has for some time been thought of yet isn't yet planned, Squires said. Read, how much would you weigh on Mars? Little by little, researchers desire to bits together whether Mars at any point had a thicker air, just as what geologic action and volcanism have meant for the world over the ages. All things considered, Mars is home to the Valles Marineris, one of the longest gulch frameworks known, and Olympus Mons, the greatest fountain of liquid magma in the close planetary system. Number 10. Bonus boggler, funky, lumpy moons. Mars has two little, potato-molded moons called Phobos and Deimos. In numerous regards, including size, shape, shading and evident organization, the moons seem to be delinquent space rocks caught by Mars' gravity. However, the way that Phobos and Deimos have round circles over Mars' equator challenges this catch idea. Read, what if the moon had never formed? Two space rocks flying past would be probably not going to both have such a direction, and resulting history after catch, to settle them into a particularly orbital plan. How Phobos and Deimos truly arrived is difficult to say, Squires said. All things considered, the moons might have framed from material impacted out of Mars by an effect, actually like our moon, and held an oddly, lopsided shape since they do not have the mass and comparing gravity to get round. At any rate, the theory during the 1950s and 1960s that Phobos and Deimos may be fake in nature has for some time been exposed, alongside a wide range of various wild science fiction bits of gossip about water system trenches, human appearances cut in rocks and minimal green men with beam weapons.